What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Second Guessing with Stressin. I'm your host, Garrett Williams, aka Texans commentator or Houston Stressins. Today, it's going to be a solo dolo show, no guest. I'll just be chopping it up with you guys. This is kind of my favorite thing to do, just live Q&A. But obviously, today was the first day of OTAs, so I know a lot of us were kind of fiending for some football. I know I was. It was a long Memorial Day weekend. It was kind of dead, like the past week or so. So it's nice to finally get some stuff to look at and talk about. So shout out Mark 794 on IG in the chat. Appreciate you tuning in, bro. We got a couple other people. BSBL.jp on IG. Thanks for tuning in, bro. He says, "Yeah, let's go." Yeah, man. So I'm excited. It was a fun day. There was a lot of content, and I think my bread and butter, or the thing that I enjoyed the most as far as like producing content to share with you all, is like the interviews. Like I love the interviews. I mean, y'all know me by now. Like I'm an over analyzer, so I definitely like to watch the interviews. But I think you can really pick up on some things by watching them, especially if you watch them for a prolonged period of time. And you can kind of get to know guys, players, coaches, and you can kind of see, when they're just blowing smoke or when they're giving you insight on stuff. So I really enjoyed that. But yeah, a couple more comments on IG coming in. Demon Nosh 007 says, "We back." Facts. We're so back, dude. Kane TX MDGH says, "What's up? What's up, brother? Thanks for tuning in." Mr. Optimistic says, "Lincoln Tomlinson starting left guard?" Question mark. Shout out BG with the H's. He also says, "Thoughts on CJ not throwing today?" And then EMAC says, "LFG." Let's go, brother. Thanks for tuning in. I will start too. I've been bad about this because I know a lot of people may listen to this later on YouTube or on the replay on Twitter or on Apple or Spotify. I do need to work on plugging myself more. So if you don't mind, if you're listening, to please follow on all platforms if you don't, even if you don't have those, which obviously is at Texans Commenter on X, YouTube, and on TikTok. And then it's at Houston Stressans, STRESSANS, on Instagram and Facebook. And then I have my website, houstonstressans.com. Feel free on the homepage. There's a free newsletter. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm really close. I was kind of slacking, but I'll try to do it weekly to give you articles that I write if I have time, and just, my content, other content, just updates on what's going on with the Texans. So if you don't mind, that'd be a great help. And then the name of my podcast is Second Guessing with Stressin. So if you just type in Stressin, STRESSAN, or just Houston Texans football on Spotify and or Apple, you can find me. And a follow or subscribe and a review on one of those would be greatly appreciated. So, and I'll say, like, I appreciate all of you guys. It's been awesome. My YouTube is starting to grow, and I'm trying to get to where I can be eligible for super chats on there. So it's happening soon. So I have to meet a certain criteria, but we'll get there soon. But no, it's been fun. I appreciate you guys. A couple more comments before I answer a couple of those questions with my opinion, which it's just my thoughts. We all have our own thoughts, but we're back. We're back to kind of second guessing things. So this is what it's all about. Milo, the best Batman on IG, says, "So why did so many vets not show up for OTAs? Think they just busy and won't that hurt morale?" And then H Texans United on IG, who's a good follow, says, "We blessing." Facts. We're blessing. BMG Koopa on IG says, "Our rookie wideouts look crisp, bro." Facts. Yes, they do. It's funny too. Like, that's pretty cool about this day and age, is like, you don't have to be a beat reporter to like feel like you're there. Obviously, it's not the same as being there. We don't see nearly as much as them, but between the content that they share, so shout out to all those guys in the local Houston media who share the content to allow us to feel like we're there in a sense. And the Texans social media team, they do a great job. So, but yeah, I agree. I noticed some of that as well. I'm sure y'all got some of y'all's own observations, which we can all kind of just talk about. Dylan Foles on IG says, "You the GOAT, Stressins." I don't know about that, but I'll take it, man. I appreciate the love and support. Austin D23 on IG, "What stood out to you from day one OTA?" Yeah, so let me start just answering some of them. There's a lot of questions. I'll try to get to them, but quick answer to that would be What stood out to me from day one, I was surprised by the O line configuration, and I know some people are stressing about it. When I posted the clip from DeMeco talking about it, but I actually like the approach they're taking, as far as trying as many combinations as possible. And so I'll circle back to that topic here in just a second. X Dadon says stressing. Nah, don't be stressing, man. We're good. Football is back somewhat. So I guess we'll start here. So yeah, so Mr. Optimistic, shout out Mr. Optimistic. If you don't follow him on X, he's a great follow. So he kind of let's see. Let me get a couple more comments and I'll go back. It's hard to do all this because there's a lot of great questions, and this is why I really don't make a script for a show, because it's organic and I don't need to have segmented topics, because all of us and all of y'all love the team. We all love it the same. Y'all give me the topics and it's already what I want to talk about. So I just answer the questions, and that's the way it flows. So yeah, Mr. Optimistic says we actually had a good turnout for voluntary, in my opinion. I agree. So yeah, I'll address that. I don't think it was that bad. There's only a handful of guys, and I don't know for a fact. I think the only one I know that like for sure wasn't there was C.J. Gardner Johnson. So I'm friends with Aaron Wilson. I talked to him earlier today afterwards, and I think that's like one of the few that was like not there. And who knows why that may be. I mean, I'm not worried about its OTAs, and DeMeco obviously talked about it today. It's voluntary when asked about certain guys. So, but then other guys like Schultz, supposedly he was in the building. I mean, so to us, OTAs is like the biggest thing in the world, but to them, it's like, I mean, it's more about the mental, the walkthrough. They're not worried about physical stuff. I mean, you could maybe say it's a little more important now with the offense with the new OC. But again, it's still mental more than it is physical. We know what these guys can do. They're not in pads. They're not, having physical contact. It's more about learning concepts and stuff like that. So, guys like Barrios were getting treatment. And so, and also, too, they're going to take extreme caution. There's no need to have anybody with any sort of nick or knack to make them get out there, like Damian Pierce, Braxton Berrios, Christian Harris. I don't know. I don't know if he was there, if he's hurt. I would suspect it's just a precautionary thing. It's a lot of precautionary stuff. So shout out Patty Meltz on YouTube with the H's. He says, after day one, we pouring up or we tipping down? What's the outlook? Hey, we're pouring up, man. I got a little glass of vino today. My wife just gave it to me. So yeah, we're good, man. I like it. We're blessing. Milo says heal up quick, Mixon. Yeah, I'm sure he's good. He's been in a boot, so Aaron Wilson's been reporting he doesn't think it's serious from what he's heard. And then Mr. Optimistic says he liked the O-line configuration. Shout out Gerard Jack with the salute. And then Patty says, I live in Seattle now, so I'm just wanting to quiet these delusional Seahawk fans on Monday night. Oh, bro, do they think they have a chance for real? One, we talked about it. I have no idea how in the hell that game is prime time. Two, we should beat their ass. I mean, they really don't have an identity right now. It's a weird team. But anyhow, so yeah, we'll go back to Mr. Optimistic O-line. And I guess I can kind of start out going through my timeline. And so, again, shout out to all the local beat reporters. They did a great job of keeping us up to date as far as, what was going on, lineups, all that stuff. So, again, it felt like we were there. I'm sure everybody in here was basically doing the same thing I was doing. Just checking Twitter for 1-2 hours straight, just, getting after it. There we go. That's a good little side-by-side. So let's just start. And so Landry said the first O-line to line up on the field for what it's worth. Maybe not much, maybe a lot. Yeah, who knows? But it's middle of May and we miss football, and this is the first time we've seen our team since then. So we're gonna look at what we got and analyze it. But left tackle was Cam Robinson. I think that's no surprise there. Laken Tomlinson at left guard. Somewhat surprising because I thought that would be Titus at left guard, but I mean, hey, I like it. I mean, throw him out there. And then Jake Andrews at center. I think that was a big surprise. I'm maybe not, I'm surprised, but I think a lot of people didn't even have him like in their mind of anybody. But I know Aaron's been saying that he's someone that will now battle with Jarrett Patterson, as well as I believe it's Eli Cox. I know his last name is Cox, the undrafted free agent from Kentucky. And he made a point on our live stream last week that, you know, last year there wasn't much competition at center, but now there will be. And so right out the gate, Jake Andrews, I mean, you know, I was kind of looking him back up. I mean, he's somebody that really came out of nowhere. He's only been in the league for 2 years, I believe. And I believe he was hurt last year. And then he only played 2 games his rookie season, like end of the year. So he's really a mystery. And to me, like, this is kind of like what proves my point. Like, I've been trying to preach about the O line, like when I've been talking with people and like saying, like, I think it's fine. Like, and people are like stressing about these signings like Lincoln Tomlinson, Ed Ingram, Cam Robinson. Like, they wanted these big flashy names, and you got these names of guys that, you know, from what the public thinks is not good, but I don't think that we know that. I think that there's a lot of extenuating circumstances like scheme and fit and just whatever. But to me, the bigger thing is that scheme and coaching can make an O line. Like, how many O linemen's names do we know? Like, it's not like receiver. Like, we know the good receivers, and even then too, like, guys can be bad in one scheme or system or team, and then go to another and be way better. So, but still, like, receivers, like, we all know like who's good and who's not. Like, O linemen, like, besides like the top 10, like, we don't know, you know, and it changes. Like, and you're not supposed to know their names. Like, when they do a good job, you don't know their names unless it's some left tackle and it's got like a 0 sack rate. Like, other than that, like, you really don't know a lot of these O linemen's names. And we don't need, I mean, it would be nice, but we don't need 5 Pro Bowler all pros. Like, we just need average to above average. I mean, from what we've had last year, we don't need world beaters. And I think we'll be just fine. And so, like, the fact that someone like Jake Andrews walks out there at center day one that no one expected kind of proves that point that we have to get over this notion of like, we're already writing off this O line because in our minds or the public or whoever, these guys suck. We don't know that. We don't know that Lincoln Tomlinson sucks. I mean, I get you can look at past whatever and there's grades from PFF and this and that, but like, you got to give these guys a chance. And like, and I've also been hammering on the point, like, last year we had the best O line ever on paper and they freaking suck. So like, I know it's hard not to like get set on a thought and think that's for sure the case. Easier said than done, but like, just let it play out. You know, like, I'm super optimistic. And so, but it's continuing down the line. So it was Cam Robinson, left tackle, left guard was Laken Tomlinson, center Jake Andrews, right guard Titus Howard. That kind of surprised me. I don't think that Titus has taken snaps at right guard in his career. I may be wrong. I can check on PFF real quick, but you know, obviously he's played right tackle, has been his, you know, most primary position. He's played some left tackle when LT was out a couple years ago, and then he's played left guard a couple years. So, but now he's getting reps at right guard. I mean, so that means he's able to play 4 out of 5 positions. Like, that's dope. And I wonder too if that's just a product of who they had better at left guard. Like, if they felt Titus was more flexible than Laken, and they felt Laken was going to be a left guard no matter what, or if they liked him better on the right next to Fisher, if it's a chemistry thing. Even though they really haven't had chemistry, but like, you know, maybe have one of your better O linemen next to a younger guy to help him out. Maybe that's a philosophy. So who knows really like the reasoning behind it, but I'm with it. You know, I mean, I like it. And then obviously Blake Fisher at right tackle. So, I mean, I got 2 of the 5 right. My guess that it would be Cam, Titus, Patterson, and then Scruggs, and then Fisher. So, but again, you know, this is day 1 of OTAs. We're still in May. It seems like it's going to change. And so just going back through too, like, Landry tweeted, second O-line was left tackle was Ursery. Left guard was Scruggs. So Scruggs played some left guard last year. I thought he was better at right guard than he was left guard. But again, who knows? Maybe that was just the scheme in the system. Center was Patterson. Okay, yeah. And then right guard was Jalen Thomas. Right tackle was Austin Deculus. So I don't know if Ed Ingram was practicing or not, but that's interesting that Jalen Thomas was right guard and Deculus, I guess he's, you know, probably our 5th, 4th string tackle right now. Obviously Trent Brown's, I don't think he's able to practice quite yet, coming off his patellar tendon injury, I believe. And then, you know, just throughout the day too, you saw like some different variations. Like DJ Bieneme with ESPN said Patterson also rotated with the ones at center. So like just because someone walked out there first doesn't mean that's going to be who it is in the fall, much less tomorrow or the rest of the OTAs. So Patterson's getting reps at one. So there's the battle right now. It's Jake Andrews and Patterson for center. So I like that. I like that a lot. And then he said Ariante Ursary has rotated with the ones at right tackle. And it's just funny too. Like we watched these interviews. DeMeco was basically like, and even Nick is like, we want to put a guy here. And like he was on, one of the national shows recently talking about, at the Patriots, they didn't move a guy. They moved guys around like their Solder and I forget the other left tackle they had, but basically the two bookend left tackles they had like during the past 20 years of their run, they started elsewhere, but he said like you would prefer not to start them elsewhere if you didn't. So Caserio makes it sound like we want him to be a left tackle and that's it. But here he is taking snaps at right tackle. But, and I'll get to my finishing point on the O-line, but just to, shout out another variation that we saw, which Jonathan Alexander from the Chronicle reported. Cam Robinson, left tackle, Lakin at left guard, Patterson at center. That's just kind of what DJ said. Right guard, Titus Howard, and right tackle, Ariante Ursary. So my takeaway is I guess we can listen to DeMeco too. Let me get to some comments. And so we kind of went over what we saw as far as lineups, my initial thoughts on it. We'll get DeMeco's words on it. But let me get to some more comments real quick before we dive back into that. Let's see what we missed over here. Mr. Optimistic says Christian was present in street clothes watching practice per Aaron Wilson. Yeah, so Christian Harris, my assumption is some kind of minor injury would be my guess. I wouldn't sound the alarms on anything one way or the other. And then BG says late night Monday Night Football game in Seattle. What's the weather like out there late October? Yeah, that's a good question. Probably a rating. Patty says they always think they have a chance every damn year. I was talking about the Seahawks. He says usually just some steady light rain, no downpours like we get in Houston normally. So that'll be a tough test. I mean, yeah, weather will be a factor there. I guess we focus on the cold, but the wet, that could be a factor in that game. Mr. Optimistic, Andrews was the biggest surprise to me. I agree. Brandon, I called it. Cam, LT, Lincoln, left guard, Titus, right guard, and Fisher, right tackle. Damn, Brandon, the OG in the chat. Of course you called it, dude. Good stuff there, man. It surprised me, and I'm not mad. And I'm not really, I think it's good and fun for us to try and figure it out, but, my guess on this is it's going to be an ongoing saga. If you try to, nail it down and stick to your opinion and get mad or whatever when it does or doesn't work your way, I think today's a good indicator of Jesus take the wheel, DeMeco take the wheel, or Kaylee take the wheel. Figure it out. It's going to be a process. And again, I'll kind of give my overarching point and take on it and how I think about it and what they're doing and why I like it after we listen to DeMeco and get caught up on these comments. BG says, how do you feel about that lineup, Brandon? That's the lineup that'll keep CJ up. Trevor Royal says, yo, what's the word, my guy? What's good, Royal? Thanks for tuning in, bro. Hope you're doing well. Brandon says, people were telling me you wouldn't see Titus at right guard, only left guard or right tackle. I didn't say that, but I thought that when I saw some people saying Titus at right guard, but I was like, why would they do that? But again, I'll point out, why I think they're doing stuff like that right now. Spartacus, what's up, brother? He says, shouldn't judge the Vikings lineman because Darnold needed 5 seconds to throw a ball. Yep. And so, my big thing on Cam was he went there middle of the season, got traded, got put into a new scheme. We don't know the ins and outs, how different it was, what they were asking to do. So, I mean, I would more so judge him on his early part of his career, the solid base, which was pretty damn good. I mean, he's not elite, but he's not terrible. He's a slightly above average, which is, like I said, that's all we need, bro. We don't need, elite all across the board. We need one at least slightly above average unit as a whole, which I think is the direction we're going. And let's see what else we got here real quick. Sorry, I had to clear my throat and take a sip. Brandon says Titus is also taking a full offseason to work on guard. That's been my biggest thing about Titus is he's both times that he's played guard, which has been left guard, he's been plugged in middle of the season. And I mean, just think about moving from tackle to guard. And you know what? Maybe they're putting him at right guard because he's a right tackle and you're used to being on that side, even though he's played left guard too. And maybe last year, left guard was the biggest hole and they just had to move him across. But what I think, and I'll get to, is you do this now and you may not have the end goal of having him play there, but you get him the reps there. So you know he can play this, you know he can play that. Now just add this feather in his cap now. Why the hell not? It's OTA. So that's gonna be my main point. But Forever Royal says the defense should sharpen the offense this season for sure. That's a great point. And last year, OTAs training camp, defense was balling out, and it wasn't sharpening; it was destroying. The offense was struggling, and it almost like ruined their morale to an extent. It was a precursor, but yeah, hopefully this year it's a mutually beneficial thing. Brandon says Titus can lean over to Fisher and give him tips on the right side. Yeah, so that's what I was alluding to. Like maybe that's a part of the logic. That's a great point. Mr. Optimix says I don't think Juice is starting on this O line. Yeah, I mean, but from the looks of it right now, they're not very high on him, and that would be big. This would be, although it would suck, it would also tell us, hey, that Casario and DeMeco don't have an ego to where they have to play a guy that was drafted highly because they traded up, I believe, in the third round to draft him. So I would much rather than them, cut their losses and play a undrafted free agent over him, or a guy you sign off the street, a veteran, than to try and force it. So uh, shout out Prince. That's my guy Prince. He says, I want to hear about the receivers. LOL. Yeah, I'll talk about them. Let me finish the O line stuff, but I'm hype on the receivers, bro. And I figured too, like, it's tough. Like, I wish I could be at practice so much, dude. Like, especially for offense and receivers. Like, I want to know what the offense looked like. Obviously, it's day one install, but like, I want to see like Nick Caley, like what are we seeing? Does it look different? Obviously, it's a lot of routes on air. There probably wasn't a lot of team reps, but I feel like if you could watch intently enough, you can kind of see, okay, this is the kind of scheme we're going with. And then, yeah, like, I mean, having played receiver myself and like trained a lot on it, like I know a lot about it. I would be honed in on the receivers. I'd be like, this guy's footwork is good. I would be like over analyzing it. But yeah, we'll talk about that. Shout out Larry Payne, my guy. He says Texans are BSing with O line musical chairs. Acquire O line that play well at one position. Okay, so Larry has a valid point that a lot of fans I'm seeing feel, and that I'll get to that in a second, like when I finish this. But I don't think I'm not looking at what they're doing in a negative light. Grafa O says, I can tell you love the behind the scenes and analytics of this blessings. Facts, dude. I'm obsessed. I got a problem. Something's wrong with me. BG says, man, I had a lot of confidence in Juice going into the offseason. I mean, we talked about that. I still wouldn't write him off, dude. Like day one OTAs, things change. Right now, it's an experimental phase, in my opinion. And obviously, too, we see it every year, especially on the O line. Injuries happen, shuffling happens, whether you like it or not. Larry says, Texans got me on an emotional roller coaster. So hang in there, Larry. I think it'll be all for the good. I think, you got your ups and downs, but I think, eventually we'll finish on top at some point. I think we're on the way. Brandon says NBC was saying positive things about our O line and coaching. It was weird. That is weird. That is very weird. Sherrod Jack, it's going to change every day. That's what I think. Graffa says, I like Scruggs, but he needs more time, reps to develop. So far, so good, but Patterson is quid. And then Prince says, interested to see how the run game looks too, especially the run blocking. Facts. Hopefully there's some creativity. Facts. I suspect that it is more gap scheme. I suspect that it's way better. And I think that's the biggest key. I mean, the run game is kind of where it all starts. So the run game can now get you in shorter down and distances. It can now alleviate the pass rush. You get in shorter down and distances. You're not in third and long. So that's a good point. The run blocking can help the pass blocking. Shout out CJ7. He says football's back. Facts. Austin DeSouza says, how did the Jadens look? I wasn't there personally, but from the clips that I saw, they look pretty good and fluid. A couple more on IG. Sorry, Austin. I see you were on IG and you hopped over to the main chat. Yeah, so if you're on IG and if I don't get to you, I apologize. I can't integrate the comments into like my main feed. So like if you want to get a comment read or a question asked, the easiest way would be to hop on either YouTube or X, and you can get through there direct, or Facebook. Shout out Facebook. Facebook's been growing for me. So Big Rodney said Juice should have a shot at center. Yeah, I mean, I hear the argument on that. I think I guess now, with like the way it is now, you got 3 centers, and then Juice would be the 4th center. And, he struggled. The big thing was communication for me. And I don't know if that's something you can improve at or not, but I mean, it was pretty bad. And then over on IG, BMMG says we gave up too many sacks where the man was unblocked. That has scheme written all over it. Facts, plain and simple. That's it. Like when you boil it down to its simplest form, that's pretty much it. So people asking about CJ not throwing concern. Milo says, I feel like he's humbling himself quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, I'll get to that next, but let's just finish the O-line. I'm not concerned about CJ not throwing. I mean, we'll see. I don't know if they practice tomorrow, but I know media's again there on Friday. If he's not there Friday throwing, then that would be a concern. But I mean, he went through other reps, like doing handoffs. I think he threw a little bit, or he either threw like a little bit or he didn't throw at all. But either way, like he did other stuff. He was there. It's not like someone was asking me earlier, like, are you worried about contract disputes or him being upset? Like, no, dude, like he wouldn't be there physically. My suspicion is it's a new OC. It's Nick Caley. He probably got him on a pitch count. He's probably like, all right, CJ, you're going to throw this many throws this day and this many this day. You're going to take this day off. That would be my guess. And who knows, like, they had like those 2 or 3 days, like a week or so before, where I think those were basically OTAs. It just wasn't like public or announced. So this technically isn't day 1 of OTAs. They've already had rookie minicamp, and they've basically had 2 or 3 days already. So this is like the 4th day, but it's being called the first day. But I suspect it's like a pitch count. So that's pretty much my take on the CJ Stroud not throwing. Cecil Thompson says, watching on Facebook from Houston, and hopefully CJ can stay healthy and not overwork himself. Thanks for tuning in on Facebook. I appreciate you, Cecil. Facebook's been growing. It's been fun to interact with you guys. But yeah, I agree. That's basically my take on it. So yeah, and CJ7 says, looks like he warmed up normal. So yeah, and Prince says, no such thing as contract disputes with a franchise QB, LOL. It's still early. Don't trip on him not throwing. Facts. And he's not even eligible until next year. So, I mean, I get it. We've been bored. We haven't had anything to mull over. And now it's like, all right, we got to freak out. Like, I'm an overanalyzer, but some of other people are way more overanalyzing in a negative light too. So, but to put a bow on the O-line, let's look at what DeMeco said today. He said a couple things, but this was what stood out to me here.
It's our first day of OTAs. So when it comes to finding our best group, it'll be a lot of mixing and matching guys, putting guys in different spots.
So that's got people upset, mixing and matching, putting guys in different spots. Like Larry. Larry doesn't like that.
Being, which 5 guys work well together. So
which 5 guys work well together? It's not 5 individuals. This guy's good here. It's a unit. So yes, this guy may be the best right guard, but he's better at left. If he's at left guard, he makes the collective unit better. That's the key that I believe in, and I'm picking up on, and I've thought, so.
One thing about the O-line is a lot of smart guys in that room, and they can move around, they can play multiple spots, and so that helps them. But it's just a matter.
And so he says these guys are smart, they can figure it out, and that can help them. And so let's finish it, and then I'll kind of
finding that 5 once we actually can get in training camp, put pads on. Nobody's making the team right now in shorts and helmets.
All right, so we need to. This is my whole point on this, and this is the last part right here is very important.
Around, they can play multiple spots, and so that helps them. But it's just a matter of finding that 5 once we actually can get in training camp, put pads on. Nobody's making.
Finding that 5 once we get in training camp and put pads on. Quit freaking out, people.
The team right now in shorts and helmets.
So, like, what he's saying is, we're in OTAs. To them, this means way more to us fans than them. Like, as far as like the urgency and importance of like what it means right now. They see this as like a development. This is an opportunity for them to experiment. I just spit all over my mic. Sorry. Um, so my take is what they're doing by trying all these different lineups. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. You're taking advantage of the time and opportunity you have to try all this shit out. Why would you wait? Why would you just set in stone? These are the 5 guys no matter what, and then wait until end of training camp, wait until middle of the season like last year, and then have to say, oh shit, and shuffle guys around. Why not use this time to see who can do what where? It's like a trial and error period. And so, whatever. And then now when we get into camp, now you can kind of slowly start to solidify, okay, this guy, we tried him at left guard, we tried him at right tackle, we tried him here, but he's good at this and that. So now when we get closer to nut cutting time, we solidify his reps here. And so there's no harm in guys trying different spots. It's a good thing, in my opinion. And so now, worst case, you do this, and then come training camp, you already know, okay, each guy, where they're good and where they're not good, and you kind of hone them down to either 1, 2, or 3 spots, or Titus could probably play all 4. But regardless, things go the way you like, and you kind of solidify like a 5 that you feel good about, you're going to have moments in the season where like a Shaq Mason all of a sudden just regresses to hell, where a Kenyon Green gets injured, or, he is a flop, or you have, like Laramie gets hurt or Titus gets hurt. Like, these things happen. And so now you have to shuffle guys around, but now who can play when and where, instead of last year. You're saying, oh, last year they learned a lot last year. Like last year, the 2 biggest things was Kenyon Green. They banked on him being decent, and wasn't the case. And then Shaq Mason was Mr. Reliable, all of a sudden regressed to hell. And so now you had both of your guards vacant. And so, but they didn't know what to do. They didn't have the depth, which this year we do, even though half the people are shitting on them. They're still better than we had last year. Our depth last year was, what's his name? I mean, why am I not thinking of his name? Holy cow. Kendrick Green. And so, but now it's the depth there seems way better, in my opinion. But the point is, like, now when these things happen next year, we've already kind of, gotten guys reps at different spots. And so rather than trying to like do that halfway, or like in the last third quarter of the season, trying to play guys in new positions and shuffle guys around to find the optimal thing, you've already done your homework. You've already tested and experimented. So like, this is not a bad thing. We're in day 1. This is a period of like free practice, and you might as well take advantage of it on the O-line or even anywhere. I mean, unless it's like, okay, receiver, whatever, but like, this is a good thing. So I'm done on that. That's my kind of rant on the O-line. Like, I get and respect the opposite opinion. Like, we need to solidify and stay, but like, my only message, or my message to those like Larry, who's like, worried about it, is like, just give it time. Like, chill. It's day 1. We're still really early in this. We're going to see a lot of changes, but I don't think that guys playing in multiple spots is a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. So, yeah. And then we talked about, let's see, let me close out of this. Talked about CJ. Yeah, I'm not worried about CJ. And then Royal says, excited to see what a Kaylee's offense will look like with Stroud at QB. Facts. I cannot wait. I think I've had to I've been getting so hyped, dude. Like, ever since, I've already been thinking this, but like, me and Cecil had the interview, we talked, and we kind of like both like kind of had some light bulb aha moments. Like, it's going to be crazy, dude. Like, it's just crazy to me that like, we all know what we saw in CJ Stroud. Like, we know who and what he is. Like, he's a top 5 QB. Like, if he's in the right system, he's a top, like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. He's a top 5 caliber QB. He just needs the right OC. He needs, to not be hamstrung. He needs to be set free, and that's going to happen. Like, we're going to see what we thought we were going to see last year, this year. We thought we'd see the 5K. It may not be 5K, but like, we're going to see and I think I've been saying this, and then Benjamin Solak, however you say his name, from ESPN said that too. Like, last year was all OC and coaching, one of the worst he's seen. And, what we all thought we would see last year with the Texans offense is going to be this year. And I agree 1,000%. Forever Royal says, or Lynn's, my bad, a little bit under the influence at the moment. It's all good, man. I'm not a big drinker, but I'm drinking some wine tonight, so I'm with you. I'll get a little buzz going with you. And then Mix Machiavelli, what's up, my guy? He says, do you feel about the DTs on this team? I feel good about them. I mean, and that's like another point that I've been kind of hammering home, and I'm sure others have as well. Is we were all stressing about the DTs last year, not getting these big name guys, and we got older veterans that are under the radar, and they all freaking balled out. And we brought a lot of those same guys back. Brought Sheldon Rankins back, and so yeah, I mean, it's not the most flashy, but I think they're going to ball out. And then a big part of that too is like you're so stacked at edge with the best edge rushing duo in the league with Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. Not to mention Darrell Taylor from the Bears, and you re-signed Derek Barnett, so you're 4 deep. And then if you include DeMeco Autry as like a flex who can rush the edge, you're 5 deep at edge. Your edge is so lethal. You now allow your interior to eat. So I mean, you don't need to overpay some supposed world beater name. Like the guys we got are more than enough, in my opinion. So, but yeah, just to circle back, I know there were some good questions asked before. We touched on the O line. I believe there was questions about the receivers. I think the receivers. I mean, I obviously have always went there. I just watched the clips, but there was some like Adam Wexler. I guess we can kind of watch the clips together. So let me see if I found. I think I like reposted earlier. Yeah, let's kind of like watch like some of the. You want to overanalyze some stuff together? Let's do that. Let's see. Here's Cody Stutes, the receiver footwork.
That's going to be a
Damn, I'm stressing. I have my mic on mute. I appreciate that chat. Good. Damn, y'all are all checking out. Man, I'm just making sure y'all are actually listening. Sometimes I feel like I might be talking to myself. So, anyways, what I was saying, what I believe y'all missed was I was just talking through the roster because these guys here. 85 is Daniel Jackson from Minnesota, the undrafted free agent. I'm really high on him. I think he's I mean, I don't know if he'll make the team, but I feel like he's a good talent. So I watched his tape, and I've noticed, like, from the clips that I've seen, over investigating, y'all can hear me now, right? Are we good now? I had it on mute on there. So, but anyways, Daniel Jackson, he's 85. He's a good receiver. And then we're just for this video here. 88 is Johnny Johnson. 89 is Xavier Johnson. Jalen Noel is 82. Jaden Higgins is 81. Can y'all hear now? Now I'm all paranoid. Like, just give me just tell me you can hear me, Grafa. And so let's see here. All right. So, I was gonna say, this drill here is like they're just working on like 45-degree breaks, which would be like a curl or a comeback. And this is early in the practice. This is individual drills. This isn't like run hard as shit. It's like, hey, this is probably like a 3/4 speed. Like you're still kind of warming up, loosening up. That's my guess. So like I wouldn't be sitting here trying to analyze how fast they are. It's just kind of just getting things going. But Jalen Noel, good feet, good hands, kind of working his feet, working his hands. He looks a little taller than I thought. This is Daniel Jackson, guy from Minnesota. This is Jaden Higgins. That's Hutch. Hutch looks kind of big, bro. And that was a video from Stutes. And then I think there was a Wexler or Spillane might have had a bigger one that we can look at. Let me see. Was it Spillane? Somebody had one that was like longer that we could all check out. Let me click on his profile. It's got to be Wexler, right? Adam Wex. Let's see, profile. Who had the receiver video today? Was it you, Wex? Yep, here we go. That's crazy. Y'all see that? Did it cut off? Nico? Like that looks simple, but like to catch the ball like this while also getting your feet in bounds, that's not easy, bro. Especially for a 6'4" receiver. That's crazy. Unicorn. Noel. 14 was, let's see. Let me look at the roster real quick. 14 was Jared Wayne. All right. Again, this is routes on air. It's early. It's not like you're not going to win a spot running 1,000% on these reps in the first day. And I mean, it's full speed, but you're not. This Metch. Ah, shit. I consider that a drop. So Metch is up on the bottom of the screen over here. Okay, Graffa says Aaron has a 2-minute video. Let's go to Aaron's video. Shout out Aaron, my guy. Look at that. Larry's on the P's and Q's, so you're back with the audio. I appreciate you guys. Graffa says audio blessings. And then Nosh says we definitely here, man. That's hilarious. My bad, y'all. I guess I am kind of an unk. I'm 36. Like every now and again I mess up. And so I really like 85, says Graffa. Johnson reminds me of Noah Brown. Yeah, I kind of thought that too, just from looking at him. I think it's like the 85, and he kind of looks like him. He kind of moves like him too. So, and then Brandon says Higgins almost looked taller than Nico in the photos. Yeah, man, he's fucking big. Aaron Wilson, okay. And then Sherrod says we led the league in unblocked pressures. That's coaching. Facts, dude. And then I've been hammering this home too. Is like, we've been so hard on the O-line last year, but it was the pass pro as a whole. Like our tight ends were the worst in the league at pass blocking, and 90% of that was like they just didn't know who the fuck to block. Sorry for cussing. I get all worked up talking about it, but it was all mental. It was like either bad coaching or bad scheme or both, and about 10% was like actually getting beat. So that's good to know. I think someone asked about Mechie. Yeah, I mean I thought once we signed Berrios, he was already on the block because, I'm probably higher on Berrios than most, but last year, most teams keep 6 receivers going into the season. And, to be that 5th and 6th guy, you got to be a or 5th, 6th or 7th guy. We kept 7. To be like those last 3 guys, you got to be a pretty good special teams contributor. And I think that's really going to hurt Mechie because he's not a returner. I don't think. I mean, I haven't really seen him, and I don't see him as a kick returner or a punt returner. And I don't know how much of a gunner he is. So, I mean, you're basically holding a spot to be a backup receiver. And then if you're not producing like we're expecting, then, it makes it tough. So, from that perspective, like whenever we signed Berrios, it wasn't the fact that I thought Berrios was like this crazy slot receiver, which I think he is underrated, but it's the fact that Berrios was a former All-Pro kicker, punt returner. I can't remember which one, but he has value, like, you know, and he's a solid, you know, third string, second string, you know, basically third string slot receiver. This is before the draft. And then you turn around and draft Jalen Knoll. So it's like, all right, like the writing's on the wall. And then it is one day, but I mean, he's getting a lot of crap today. And so we'll analyze this as we go. But this rep here is just stupid that we're doing this, but it's what we have. We're in May. We're bored. It's the only football we got. But just my opinion on this is a drop. And so let's see. It looks like he's running this is like what I would call a glance route. It's like, it's not really a slant. It's not really a post. Like a slant would be like a 5-yard straight up and 45, and a post would be like 10 yards and then 45 or to the upright. This is kind of like in between, and you kind of bend it flatter. And so this is like a glance route, I believe, is what I would call it. And let's see here. Right. It's a good. I mean, he doesn't really. I don't know if they're taught, but like what I was always taught, and like what a lot of good receivers do at the top of your route when you break, whether you're breaking 45 this way, that way, whatever, you stick like that last foot. You always plant with your outside foot. So if I'm going this way, I'm going to stick with this foot, and you want to stick it in the ground because it does a couple things. One is it gets the defender the momentum going that way. They kind of go towards it, but it also gives you the power to stick and move off of that. He kind of, and I don't know if they're teaching to roll out of it, but like, this is stupid too that I'm analyzing this, but this is just, you know, me talking from what I see. But like, you would like to see a stick right there. He kind of softly sticks it. Like he kind of like rolls in. I mean, I don't know. Anyways, that's not the main point of this clip. The main point is, okay, he got his head around, and then you could call it a bad ball. It's hard for us to tell. Again, we're just going off what we got, but he kind of just reaches up for it. But like, to me, if you can try to get my arm in the, if you can reach up like this for it, this is tough. If you can reach up like this for it, you can throw this hand right there and catch it. So like that was a catchable ball. That wasn't, you know, you could have gone like this. And so that's ball skills. I mean, but again, I don't freaking know. I didn't see it, and it's dumb to overanalyze. But one more time on this rep. It looks like he could have, or you recognize it sooner and you go up for it like this. Like that. How's that? There. Instead of just, you can go up for it like that, you know? And maybe the ball caught him off guard. I don't know who's throwing it. So, anyhow, let's just finish the rest of this. I need to pull up Aaron Wilson's. Justin Watson on the outside. Ooh, look at that big-ass tarantula, dude. Talk about hands. Look how, I mean, this is a different ball, but like, let's look at his glance route. Yes. Oh my God, dude. Okay. So I just said, like, talking about sticking that plant foot, stick. Like you're breaking in, so your outside foot, you want to stick it in the ground and then go. Look what Jaden Higgins does. He sticks that plant foot. Like, there's a distinct difference from what we just saw. Watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stick. You see how violent that plant foot was? And gets back to the quarterback looking for it. Right on him. Boom. So yeah, I guess that was, I think they are taught to do that on that route. But yeah, let's look at dude, I love this receiver shit. Let's look at Aaron Wilson's 2-minute long video on it. Aaron's been crushing the YouTube, man. He's been doing good. And it's much appreciated by us fans for sure, no doubt. So not sure quite where Texans takeaways. Yeah, he's been grinding, dude. Okay. That's the preview. Is this the whole? Yo. Aaron's goated for this. Releases. This is dope, dude. Kurt, let's see. He's probably got some juice. Oh, dude. Good luck trying to press him in the slot. He's going to be a beast, dude. Look at Nico. This is what makes Nico unbelievable. His release package for that big of a receiver. That's quick. Jared Wayne. 88 is who's 88 again? Damn, I'm messing up. Someone 89. Johnny Johnson. Let me go back to the roster. I said it a minute ago. I forgot. 88 is Johnny Johnson. 89 is Xavier Johnson, who we've forgotten about. That's like the Ohio State connection. Justin Watts, or I keep thinking that Jaden Higgins is Justin Watson. What number is Justin Watson? Let's see. Go to last name Watson. Is Watson also 81? Did he practice? CJ Nick. That's crazy. So people are stressing about CJ not throwing. He probably got more out of sitting right beside, and this might have been part of it too, sitting right beside Nick, talking through it all. Look at this. Like, this is, you know what? Maybe Mills is a starter now. I think that's what's going on. You see that little good job he got from Kaylee, man? All pro Sting. Damn, Nosh 36. Damn, I thought you were in your 40s. That's messed up, bro. Holy cow. You got me stressing, dude. I look that old. Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of talk as it goes through like some of these individual drills. Sorry for the podcast listeners, but right now I'm just kind of showing Aaron Wilson's video on YouTube. Y'all should check it out. It's just raw footage of the practice. Now it's just warm-up drills. Kalen Bullock and that number 2 is clean, bro. So we got, and Kamari's 4, and then you got Petrie number 5. Yeah, that's sick. Obviously Stingley 24. Prince says we got our own T. Higgins of what? LOL. I think he might be talking about Higgins, maybe. I don't know. And then Royal says I could see us trading Metch to Panthers after that joint practice. Yeah, I mean, and so I don't know. Like, I would assume like trading guys that are on the bubble, that are in the last year of their rookie deal, that have some value. I would assume you probably, if you haven't traded them by now, you probably hold them until training camp and you wait until other teams are desperate or have injuries. So, yeah, Metch. I mean, I don't know what he'll get, but like, you know, what Kenyon Green got, we got CJ Gardner-Johnson. And so if that's the case, who knows? Right now there's CJ Stroud warming up. Gerard Johnson, shout out Gerard. Will looks like a beast, dude. Terminator, you got that brace on, you got tape on. He's a freaking warrior, dude. And I love his interviews. Yeah, I plan on, we won't watch the whole interviews, but I'll kind of show the clips that I had, and I have a couple more I haven't posted. But he's a great interview, dude. He's just like such a genuine, like, I guess he's kind of like me. Like when I talk on here, I get so excited, I talk so fast. That's him. Like, he just is like so excited. He just wants to talk. But he's passionate, dude. He loves this shit. Garafa says Mechie will be cut. Unfortunately, I've grown emotionally attached to him, but we have to do what's best for our team. We need the best of the best in that field. Yeah, and like, and I don't know too. Like, I think I mean, the dude had leukemia, bro. Like, yeah, like you know, it's been a year and a half post that, but like that shit matters, dude. Like, and then also too, like maybe he wasn't, like maybe he was just raw athletic in college at Bama. But I mean, being polished matters. Like being, you know, a good route runner, like knowing how to stick, you know, on a route, or knowing how to read a defense, knowing when you're hot, knowing when to turn your head. Like, I think a lot of that wasn't built into the offense with Slowick, but I think also some receivers weren't good at it, which to me, it's kind of crazy. Like that part of it's like the easy part, like the mental side, like doing all that. It's like the hard part is like the speed and the agility. Uh, Brandon says CJ GJ getting that number 0. That would be dope, dude. That would be dope. That would be a crazy secondary. And then Larry says Mechie could fetch a 5th, 6th round pick. That would be crazy. I mean, I'm for it, dude. Graffa says I love analyzing our guys' reps. Yeah, that's what we do, baby. Sorry on IG if you're in the chat, man. I've been locked in over here on the main one. Yabo here on IG says I've just seen some stuff about his shoulder. I guess he's talking about CJ. Nah, man. Yeah, no, we're not stressing about that. He's fine, dude. I mean, we'll see. We'll know for sure Friday, but I want to say he might have thrown some early, but he did do drills and handoffs. But I suspect it's a pitch count. I mean, maybe there could be something there. I don't know. We'll know Friday for sure, but I'm not really worried too much. Even if it is something, it can't be anything crazy. Yeah, Graffa says Jaden Higgins' footwork. Yeah, and so I know Stoots. Shout out Cody Stoots. He was saying that Fisher looks a lot slimmer. He does look a lot slimmer. And then Forever Royal says shout out Nick Casario. Facts. Brandon says Justin Watson wasn't there. Okay, yeah, I didn't think he was. Brandon 81 and 82. Yep, that's Higgins and Knoll. DQ says where was Chauncey Gardner Johnson at? He was not there. Not sure why, but I wouldn't be worried about that. He's a vet, dude. He just got traded too, so like you got to get acclimated, and it's not like he signed here as a free agent. So, yeah, he'll show up and show out. Forever Royal says it's crazy seeing Stroud praise McVay and the Rams offense last preseason to now having McVay under Boss as the OC. Facts. And Matthew Stafford, dude. That's like his idol. That's dope. Brandon says Kalen is going to stop you. Oh, there's CJ. Man, Aaron is the GOAT for this, dude. It's a live raw footage. It's perfect for now. I should have put this up earlier when we were talking, like this kind of have something y'all can stare at that instead of my ugly face. Brandon's crazy, dude. Nosh said it's so refreshing to see Bobby. We got to execute better. It's not our OC anymore. Facts. Graffa gave a blessing. Sarah says just hopped on, but did anyone mention CJ was locked in watching the receivers? Easier to assess talent when he's not throwing the ball. No, I mean, but I did just say that we were watching this video with Aaron, and it showed, a little bit of CJ watching the passes, standing next to Kaylee, and they were talking. So I said that he probably got more out of watching the practice with Kaylee and talking than actually throwing it. Especially in a new offense, you can kind of see it. But that's a good point too with the receivers. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. So definitely not a terrible thing. But now that we're caught up, I'll see if I can kind of get through some of this. I don't know if that was the video that was referred to for the receiver stuff, but that's good enough. Let me go over to my X feed, and we'll kind of go back through some of the stuff there. Kind of use this as a way to kind of recap practice. I guess we'll finish with the other interviews. So let me just go through the other videos that I saw and kind of analyze myself. Yeah, this is another angle of that Nico catch. That's insane, dude. And a tiptoe. He's just like a gazelle, dude. It's crazy. Yeah, we had Stingley catching punts, blessing or stressing. I assume it's just, again, it's OTAs. If you're ever going to have guys do other random stuff, now's the time to do it. I don't suspect that he would do it during the season. Let me know what y'all think about that. But I suspect it was, if you're going to try to get some experience and in case you have to be the emergency punt returner or you want to do it here and there, you might as well do it now. That's kind of my take on that. Cecil Thompson on Facebook says, hope our tight end play better this year. Facts. If it's not better this year, then I don't know. Then it's definitely a personnel issue. Now you got a former tight ends coach who coached Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. So, I mean, you got a guy that's been around talent and knows how to coach, players. And they've had other guys at the Patriots and Rams that have, outproduced their supposed, projections. Nosh says, do you think Laken Tomlinson will be the starting left guard? I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know who it will be. Like, I'm not gonna fixate on day one of OTAs, first rep of that drill. That's that starter at that position. Like if I had to say, I think Titus could still play left guard, but I wouldn't be surprised if Lincoln did start. I mean, it's still a long ways away. We'll kind of have to watch it play out, but I mean, it's hard for me to say without knowing anything about any of these guys in this system. It's hard for the coaches to say that too. Like they don't freaking know, and that's good. You don't want them to say, this is our starter here. This is our starter here. Like, no, like we're going to figure it out. And that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Like let it play out. If you like last year, it was predetermined. Everyone was pretty much penciled into their starting spots. There was no competition. There was no depth. So it was LT, you're the LT. It was Kenyon, you're the left guard. He really didn't have a battle. And it was Juice, you're the center. It was Shaq, you're the right guard. It was Titus, you're the right tackle. And we saw how that played out. Like it was complacency. So like us having these unknowns to me is a good thing after what we saw last year. And so BG says, glad we aren't the ones that have to deal with the dig stuff. Bro, that's crazy. I had no idea what 2C was. And I was up last night in bed like, what the hell is this shit, dude? Pink cocaine, 2C. And like the stuff I was reading, it was like methamphetamines. It was like MDMA. It was like ketamine, like all this shit in one. I was like, bro, what? Which is crazy. But at first it was like people were like, man, he's cheating on Cardi B, or he's worse than Offset, or whoever her last boyfriend was. And then like later people were like, oh shit, like he had drugs in there. Yeah, it's nice that we're not having to deal with that. But I mean, I still like Diggs, man. I mean, and he's dating a rapper, like one of the most famous people in the world. Like, what do we expect? I mean, and people live like, who are we to judge? Like, yeah, he's an NFL player, but like, okay, yeah, he's got to be responsible. But like, some random broad took a video and posted it, and like he didn't know. And in the moment, you're messed up anyway. So you're not really. You think you're like, you would assume if you're with Cardi B, you have like a bunch of celebrities that people aren't. But he's also tailing his career. He don't care. Like, fine, if you want to drag me, whatever. Yeah, Prince says, yeah, they got rid of him at the right time. And then Brandon says he was out with Cardi C through E. Yeah, that 2C. I need to try it out. It sounds pretty fun. I'd probably die if I did that. But yeah, so back over here, share this tab instead on the timeline. Ronel Blanco is getting Tommy John surgery. That's cool. And DJ said that Mills, his third throw went deep to Nico, but Kamari Lassiter broke up the pass. And then we also saw a video that he broke up, Kamari did on Mechie. So it sounds like Kamari is a dog, had another game. And then Sarge said EJ Speed's a lot quicker than I thought. I think he's going to play / start. I think him and Henry will kind of be that second linebacker splitting reps there, honestly. And going back up, let me find some more highlights. I thought this was crazy. Let's see. There's no audio, but this is Will Anderson Jr. doing a drill. It's like a load drill where you kind of get, you have, I think it's Tommy Toagi, how you say his name, or I don't even know who that is, but it's a big guy leaning on him with all of his weight. And then it's basically like working on, a rush, getting up under the pads of a lineman, and he kind of just throws this guy and then does a swim after, like violent. Yeah. Will Anderson Jr. And so a big thing too, you hear about is the year 3 leap, rookie year is rookie year, and then you improve your second year. But like year 2 to year 3 is like when you really see the most improvement. And we got guys like Will and CJ, obviously the two main ones where we had the year 3 leap. And we had some guys last year that all kind of fit that bill. And, some did better than others. But, you would expect both CJ and Will to have a year 3 leap. And I do. But, part of this too is these guys are running a new offense, so We can't just be it's day one of a new. I mean, it's not. They've been doing it a little bit, but we can't overanalyze that. But we are. But yeah, it's just weird that route. But it looks like the backer, or I'm sorry, the safety number 29. I think it's MJ Stewart. He flies to the flats to cover Cade Stover on the flat route. And so that's when Mechie kind of realizes to turn around. But I think, I don't know. But regardless, initially I thought, obviously it's a great play by Kamari, but I thought, okay, the ball's late by Mills, which I think it is because maybe now I'm just realizing too, like the route wasn't clear. Like he's wanting to throw him the ball, but he was kind of waiting too long to get to what he needed. And then it looks like this is so dumb that I'm overanalyzing this day one OTA rep of Mechie getting a pass from Mills in a new offense. But here we are. This is what I think. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but it looks like Mills is trying to figure out what he's doing. So he's holding on the ball. And then Mechie feels like he's sitting in the same spot too long and feels like Lassiter's on his back and like kind of wants. So then last second, he kind of wheels out to kind of like scramble, I guess, and extend the play. But at this point, he shouldn't have done that. The ball is about to be thrown. And so he does that, and Mills throws it here thinking he's there. And so then now when he jumps, he has to catch it like this, and that's when Kamari breaks it up. And so initially, before I kind of went back through this, I was like, as a receiver, especially like on these like hitches and curls or comebacks, like routes where you're like stop and look at the quarterback, or it's like a route where you go up and 45-degree back, you want to work back to the quarterback. You don't want to run your route and stop. Like, I run my route. Like, here's the ball. Because if you wait for the ball to come to you and the DB is going this way, then they're closing the gap. You need to keep that separation by coming back, which this is kind of weird. But the fact that he kind of like got antsy and jumped out didn't allow him to do it. But you would hope that he would have not jumped out. And this is dumb that I'm even saying this, but and work back to the ball. But the other thing, too, that I should point out is quarterbacks are taught to throw to the soft shoulder. And throwing to the soft shoulder means that, like, on routes like this where you're over the middle and you kind of hook up, if I'm the receiver and I have a defender on this shoulder, that means this would be my soft shoulder. So the quarterback knows you're guarded but not fully guarded. So I'm going to throw you to here so that way you catch it and the defender's here. And as a receiver, and you trust your quarterback, hey, he's going to throw to whichever shoulder that the defender's not on. That's my soft shoulder. So defender's here. He's going to throw it. I'm all messed up now. He's going to throw it here. Anyways, you throw it to the opposite shoulder. So if he throws it here, then I know to catch it and turn that way. It'll turn you away from the defender. Whereas if he throws it here and I turn this way, that's what the defender is. But some receivers can do it and kind of like juke, and they have a good sense of like eyes in the back of their head. But and I don't even know like if that would be even a soft shoulder throw, because Kamari is kind of just straight up and the ball would have been right there anyway. So that's just a separate point. And so, yeah, that's just a jacked up rep. I mean, I think we can knock Mechie a little bit for it, but I mean, it's day one of OTAs. I think it's being overblown. I think it's more so timing. He could have messed up on the route. Who knows? It's hard for us to say. So, anyways, let's see. Let's see what else we got in the chat. Let's see what we got. We're talking about wrapping up on the Diggs stuff. Noah says Diggs is stressing, LOL. And it says, bro wasn't stressing. He said, call me Big Daddy. That shit was crazy, dude. That was crazy. Grabbing his neck, too. That's crazy. Nosh says, I meant Vrabel is stressed right now. Facts. Yeah, he acted like he wasn't, but he was. He's like, damn, bro, what did I get myself into? First day. Texans United, hear me out. EJ Speed, name is Speed because he's speedy. Yeah, I agree. Cecil says, do you think that Davis Mills can really keep us winning if CJ gets hurt? Yeah, I'm high on Mills, man. Like, I feel like he's one of the best backups in the league. And I think, I think he could keep us in contention, especially with this new offense. Obviously, he's not as good as CJ, but I mean, I think he's more than viable for sure. I know that's not a popular opinion. It's kind of a polarizing topic, but I'm high on Mills. Brandon says, "Uh-oh, Diggs is going to steal Drake May's innocence." Yeah, but like Diggs, I mean, we saw how he was like football. He's like professional on the field. Like he has a good he's good at like keeping that separate, like from what we saw. Sarah says next Monday is going to be interesting with trades around the league post June 1st. Oh, great call, Sarah. Yeah, so we got a couple guys, and then Graffa says trade deadline is going to be crazy. Larry, exciting times. And then Brandon says Trey Hendrickson trade. Gilberto Chapa says defense has an advantage at this time of the year. They do, yeah, because offense is disjointed and defenses are simple. Everyone knows what a cover 2, cover 3, whatever it is. And plus, our defense has continuity, so they have an extra advantage there too. So that's a great point there. Larry Payton, Jalen Ramsey back to the Rams. Yeah, I've been hearing he's on the trade block. Graffa says Monday trade deadline soon. Biggest need for this team. Sarah says they weren't calling him Big Daddy. Go replay Daddy. Okay. Yeah. I've watched that video too many times until I figured out what Tusi was, and I don't think I'm going to watch it again. Hopefully not. Noah says, I'm curious to see how Ladarius Henderson did. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Aaron seemed like he wasn't that high on him, but I didn't see his name mentioned in the 1s and the 2s. So again, there's still plenty of time. If he deserves to play, he'll play. So we'll see what shakes out with that. Brandon says guys not at OTAs on trade block. I don't know. Like guys like Harris and Damian were both there supposedly. Like Damian was in the training room supposedly, and then Harris was in street clothes supposedly. So I feel like if they were, they would be gone. And then like I feel like the only one that we know of that was not there was Schultz, or not Schultz, but CJ Gardner-Johnson. But we just traded for him, so no, I wouldn't think so. But who knows? I mean, that's what we do this time of year. We finally got a little bit of something to kind of get excited about. But yeah, let's just finish up with some clips on some interviews, get my analysis on that. We can kind of go through it together. Tell me y'all's thoughts as we go. And yeah, quick reminder as always, if you don't mind, website houstonstressens.com. Feel free to subscribe to the free newsletter as well as check out the merch. I'm wearing my Don't Sleep on Houston shirt right now, so I got stuff on there like that. Follow me on all the socials at Texans Commenter on X, TikTok, and YouTube. And then on YouTube, it would help if you watch these things on YouTube. I'm trying to get to the super chat deal, and I have to get so many more hours of watch time, which lately it's been growing, so that's good. And then yeah, Instagram, Facebook at Houston Stressens. And if you could, follow and leave a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's the Second Guessing with Stressin podcast. That'd be much appreciated. But so I've been rambling for quite a while. Let's check out some interviews so that way you guys can be on about your night.
And matching guys, putting guys in different spots.
The O-line there with that. Let's see what Nico talking about the elite.
Yeah, for sure. Get a gold medal. Who don't want a gold medal? Awesome. But nah, it's a blessing. It's something I will. I want to be a part of. But if it happens, it happens. It don't. But it's a goal. It'll be fun.
Who on this team do you think is the best football player?
You know what I'm saying? I say Sting too. He an athlete now. And I say CJ. You know what I'm saying?
Two more.
So yeah, Nico makes it known that he'd be down to play in the Olympics to get a gold medal, and then he thinks that Stingley and CJ would be the best flag football players besides him. And then let's see.
Approach to offense, his philosophy.
Yeah. He's a playmaker, man. You know how to get the playmaker the ball. With great situation, so I can't wait for us to really get going on Sundays. Really put our offense to clip. Right now we're in the learning stage. We're in offense, new words, terminology. So we got to digest that. And once we do that, then we're clicking.
What do you think of a guy like Christian Kirk could potentially bring?
So basically, Aaron asked him about the Nick Caley offense. He said they're in the learning stages, like terminology. But something he pointed out was it's a playmaker's offense. Like they find a way to get the playmakers the ball. And so I kind of had this revelation like a month or two ago. I was watching, Nico highlights, and realize like as good as he was, like he's gonna be even better, man. Like Kaylee's gonna find a way to get some crazy production out of Nico. Like he's gonna eat, bro. I'm excited.
Yeah, he's a large human being, man. I think he's going to be really good for us. I'm happy he is here, man. And just seeing him out there today going against our guys, man, very athletic, can move for a big guy his size, can bend. And I'm excited to see what he does and just keep going against. And Coach always says iron sharpen iron.
That was Will on Arianti Ursary. So he's got some good things to say about him. Here is Will about him mentoring rookies.
Yeah, I think I'm officially reaching unk status, man, and it's not. It don't feel good at all, but it's fun, man. But that's what we're all here for, to be a service to each other and be a blessing to each other, man. And any way that I can help, I want to do that, man. Like I know my rookie year, my second year, going into my third year, so it'll be wrong of me not to help someone else out, knowing I've already been through it. So I just want to be of any service I can, especially being a leader on this team.
Yeah, he's so hyped, dude. He's such a great interview. But yeah, I mean, you made a joke about. He's also good too. Like he's such a great interview because he's passionate and like gives you great detailed answers, and he also kind of keeps it lighthearted here and there. So he talks about being unk status, even though he's only going into year 3. Texans United says C.J. Gardner-Johnson was also working out on Memorial Day before OTA started, so he'd definitely not sit on the couch. LOL. Facts. Yeah. So I mean, nothing to worry about there. Brandon says DPOY for Will. I agree, man. I think he could definitely get DPOY this year. That year 3 leap, baby. Azeez, he is a great interview, man. If you haven't, so the Texans finally, at least today, like posted like the interviews. They do the live stream. They actually like segmented like Azeez interview, Will interview, Nico interview. So I would recommend watching the full Azeez interview. Yeah, obviously he came to our watch party last year and was chopping it up with us, and I talked to him quite a bit. And like even afterwards, like it was like he was like one of the last people there, like he was leaving, and we were like chopping it up downstairs for like a while. But he's just such a good dude, man. Like everything you hear him say here is like how he is. Like it's crazy. Like, could you imagine like being like this alpha middle linebacker in the NFL, and then still like having like we'll listen to this answer here, but like he's so like introspective, like you feel like someone who's like a big alpha like that would just be like a meathead and be like, oh F you, I'm better than you. Like nah, like he's like he can relate to anybody. I guess his part of it is like his journey in life, like his upbringing, where he came from. I think like you mentioned, I don't know his exact story, and he kind of told me this as well, I believe, when we talked in person, like not having like a big male presence, father figure in his life. I believe I may be wrong, but I think he kind of alludes to that here. And so, when he talks in this video here that I'm going to play, he's basically asked about his leadership style. And he talks about how he's learned from what he's experienced. Like when he was younger, a lot of people try and lead in a way from like I just said, like a macho alpha, like if you do this type stuff. And like, rather than like trying to like talk to you like a normal person, especially at this level too, like in the NFL, like everyone who's made it there is an alpha, like they're a dog, like they're the best of the best. And so like, obviously you have your, levels, but like to try and continue to like that stuff might, like, as he said, like with Will, like that might've worked in Bama where you were like way, above the others where you can kind of just punk people. But now it's like, y'all are like equals, I mean, you're not dealing with like normal people. So, and he talks about him and DeMeco, like how they butted heads. But basically like, rather than like, him experiencing that and not liking it, he said, okay, what I'm going to do is when I step up to that leadership role, I'm going to lead the way that I think I would have liked it when I was younger, is basically what he's saying. And so like, yeah, you can still be that, macho guy, but it's also like, he'll talk about it. But like, and then like, he kind of just drops too. Like he went to therapy, like for someone who's supposed to be this invincible to admit to being vulnerable, is basically like, he's not like saying it, but he's kind of like letting you know, like, yeah, like I'm not afraid to like say, it's just crazy. I mean, what a great guy. And I've noticed that like in all of his interviews, if you can find his other ones, just search his name on my timeline, like any of the interviews. And that's what's crazy about all that is like, we see this. So like only Texans fans actually watch this stuff, and not even all of them. So like, we know the type of guy he is. And then to watch all that shit unfold last year with Trevor Lawrence, that bullshit ass late slide, and then the bullshit ass suspension, the bullshit ass, letter sent out by the commissioner, attacking his character, attacking him as a person based off of a play. And whether you even want to say the play was dirty or not, it wasn't, but let's just say it was. Just because a certain athlete plays the game a certain way, you can't extrapolate that and say that means that he's this kind of person off the field. It's a game. It's a violent game with split-second reactions, and then you want to now proclaim that this guy is this and that, like some asshole, whatever. And if you watch this stuff, that is not the case. So, like, that's the most frustrating thing, and I guess is the big takeaway here. Like, this dude is a damn good dude, man. He's down to earth. Anyways, enough glazing. Here it is.
I think just going through it, like when you go through one side of it, well, like I said, as a player, somebody's talking to you a certain way. Like I grew up a certain way, and I didn't have my father in my life, so I genuinely struggled to like deal with male figures and taking like authority in that way. So I think as I figured that out on my own.
That's insane to like even like say that. Most people like won't even talk about it, like not having a father figure. And then to admit that you struggle with it because of that, like that's crazy, dude. Like people aren't doing that.
And then, going to therapy and dealing with my own issues as a young player, especially like with me and DeMeco, that's our relationship was just always like headbutting until it got to that point where you realize like, why is this person talking to me like this? What are they trying to relay to me? And you kind of just able to process all those things. And then.
So it sounds like he also he wasn't able to take the authoritative male voice like most others that had dads that are used to your dad bitching you out all the time when you mess up, which is good. Like, you need to be kind of, especially when you're young and naive or whatever, kind of held in check or whatever. But he said, like, I had to learn what that was because he didn't know. I mean, so that's crazy. Like, these are things you don't think about,
Come up with that solution to realize this person is trying to help me. Their message is just being relayed this certain way, not taking it so personal. And then as I figured that out for myself, and I became more of a leader in my own right, I just made sure that I carried that same message that I felt to the people around me because, like I said, everybody is different. And I have no clue sometimes, you go to work, God might have just lost, his child or maybe something happened at home because we all go through things. So I think it just challenged me to be more considerate and more mindful of other people because I was thinking about how I felt.
Considerate and mindful. That's insane, bro. This guy's a killer, dude. Like, he's a killer. And he talk about being considerate and mindful. So like, I got a killer like on the field. Like, he's aggressive and like, can lay the hit or whatever. But yeah, that's crazy, dude. Like, that's so rare. That's so rare. That's awesome too. What a great guy. H Texans United says Will's hair is long, dog. Nosh says Will is coming for you, Lamar. Yeah, he's got some long hair. And then Two Tone Productions says Cam Ward, your nightmare. Yeah, his nightmare is Azeez. Is that what you're saying? All right, and then this is going to be Nico on Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel.
And it's only right we go out here and just. The boy's nice, man. Both of the whole rookie receivers, man. The type of guys we got bringing in, man. It's playmakers, man. And it's an honor to share the field with them, and it's only right we go out here and just.
It's an honor to share the field with them. That's crazy for him to say that about rookies.
Get each other better, learn from each other, man, and talk to each other on the route they see, anything they need to work on, man. I'm here for him to lean on, and I'm here to learn from him as well. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's the only way you can improve on your game.
I'm here to learn from him as well. That's crazy. Not a lot of guys that are going in year 5. What is it? Year 5 are going to say, yeah, I'm willing to learn from this rookie. Like, what? No, dude.
Just having an open mindset and being a book, just being a learner,
So the Azeez clip, this Nico clip, this is Swarm. These are both examples of Swarm. Azeez knowing how to be a leader, Nico being selfless, praising. It's an honor to play with these rookies. Most vets would be like, F you, bro. Like, you haven't done shit. Like, you got to earn my respect. Like, no, he respects him out the gate, dude. And not only that, he's like, I'm willing to obviously, one, teach them, which I know it's easier said than done, but a lot of vets, I guess they can say that it's lip service, but like, I'm pretty sure Nico means this, but a lot of vets wouldn't be willing to do that because that's your competition. Like, you're going to teach your eventual predecessor your, skills and how to take your job. But I think Nico is fine and confident in himself that he can do that. And so that helps the team. You know, that's rare. That's crazy. That's like these interviews, man. Like, I urge y'all to watch them, dude. These are all great people. And this is like the culture that they're building. They're getting a bunch of players like this. And you get enough, you get a solid foundation, you make it work. And let's see. Brandon says, does kind of feel weird that just 2 years later, our breakout players and rookies are now taking the vet role. That is nuts. Yeah, I mean, Nico's a vet. CJ, Will. Yeah, it is crazy, man. It goes by quick. And let's see. We got a couple more, and I got a couple like outside of here that I could share. Just scrolling up. Make sure I didn't miss any. All right, yeah, I got a couple videos. Let me see if I can do it this way. Can I share it like this? How can I do this? Maybe I got to download all this shit. I had a couple clips on my phone that I hadn't posted yet, and so I texted it to myself on my MacBook, which is what I'm on, and I am about to. I just downloaded it, and now let's see if I can play them. And I'll finish with one, which is a clip from a show that Brandon brought to my attention. Shout out Brandon. And it is one that I wanted to watch with Zach Robinson, the OC from who was from the Rams and went to the Falcons last year and led them to a top 10 offense in his first year. And let's see if I can find a way to, let's see, share. And we'll go to window. Okay. Did I down? Okay. Let's see if I can. Oh, I can just do like that. Dope. This is dicey. I'm going into my text messages. I might have. All right. Let's see. Is that? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to share this without doing anything crazy. It should just let me share right there. Chrome tab, window, entire screen. How's this? Let's do that. Okay. All right. That's not the video I wanted, but now I know. Thank you for the patience. Man, how do I go to the next? Okay, cool. Dope. All right. All right. All right. So now we can share this screen here. There it goes. Let's go. Let's get it. This is going to be Nico Collins on Christian Kirk. And it just did some weird shit. So I will just play it like this. And thank you all for the patience. It'll be worth the wait. Almost ready to show you some more clips. All right, that's good enough. You get it. All right. Nico on Christian Kirk. I love that. Slot magician, slot magic. I think we'll get a lot of that. So this is Big Sarge asking Will about Kalen Bullock and Kamari Lassiter. Oh, y'all can't hear the audio on the that's whack. You can't hear the audio on that clip. Damn, man. I don't know why it does that. Let me see if I can. I mean, these clips aren't anything crazy. Let me see if I can go to my downloads. Texans offseason, man, whatever. Anyways, I mean, there was a couple clips. I'll post them tomorrow. But I think the big thing is going to be that there's one that I can pull up on YouTube, and we'll watch that. So this is going to be from Sam and Steve, and I know some people in the chat have some beef with them, like Sarah. I think they were kind of getting on to them because they were, like defending Bobby Slowick because they used to be at PFF, and I think they used to work with them, obviously, and so I think there was some of that. But I mean, I think overall they do a good job. And then so they did an interview with Zach Robinson, who is the OC for the Falcons, who was under Sean McVay, and this is gonna be like a 2 to 3 minute clip. And yeah, so sorry about earlier; those clips, the audio wasn't playing, but it should work now on this YouTube video that I'm about to share. And this is Brandon kind of brought this to my attention. I clipped it up and I'll post it tomorrow, but this will be, I think this is, relative or relatable, I guess would be the word. I don't know, it works for us because we have Nick Caley that's coming from a Rams offense with Sean McVay and is now going to be a first-time OC with us. And Zach Robinson did the same thing. And they kind of ask him some questions about that. So let's just do it after this interview. You could just confirm that you can hear the audio and hear over on YouTube. It would be much
when you're installing a new offense. Is this like, hey, I'm bringing in your head? Is it mostly what McVay did, and it's what, or did you have this constructed in your head? How does your system, your style evolve through the years?
Yeah, it's always interesting. Like you start sitting down, you're like, all right, what do you really want it to look like? Like you have your install sheets from what we had in LA. And obviously that is my background, the core beliefs of that, the foundation of that offense. Like that will never leave. Just because of the respect I obviously had for Sean even before when I was working with you guys. Like we were always talking about what the Rams were doing, whether it was the 2018 season. And then obviously it worked out and got extremely lucky to get in there and work with Sean and the rest of the guys there for 5 years straight. So that'll always be the core kind of identity and philosophy behind it. And then once you start, obviously everything is predicated on your personnel. So you start getting your personnel in here, and then we were able to sign a few different free agents with Charlie Warner, with Darnell Mooney, guys that.
So just to interject, he's being asked, and if y'all can't hear the audio on this video, just tell me, but I think you can hear it because it's back on YouTube. But again, this is Sam and Steve with the 33rd team, and they're interviewing Zach Robinson, who used to work with them, I guess, at PFF when they were at PFF. But, he's being asked about how he installs his new offense with the new team. And he basically says he carries over initially it starts out pretty similar to the last place you were at. So basically how they would have their install, like the basic bare stuff, which is what we're seeing now at OTAs, is what he would do. And he says you kind of get that foundation in, and then from there you start to slowly morph the offense around your personnel to what they work with. And this is, when I listen to him talk, this is the exact same shit that Nick Caley said in his presser. And that is awesome to hear because this guy freaking crushed it with Atlanta with Kirk Cousins. Yeah, they had Bijan, and yeah, you can say they had a great O-line, but they had Drake London, they had Darnell Mooney, but like we have all that shit too. And we have CJ Stroud, bro. We got Joe Mixon, we got Nico Collins, we got Jaden Higgins, we got Tank Delser, but we got Christian Kirk. I mean, we got the weapons, bro. Jalen Noel. And so there's no excuse. And like, yeah, you can say the O-line, but like how much of that O-line being good is the scheme, So anyways, so this is like kind of tells us, okay, he says at first most of it is pretty much copy, what you have. And also this is different for Caley because he was at New England recently too. But, basically I think he would probably go with what's most recent and do that initially as your base and then kind of morph it. But I'll stop. I'll let him finish.
That have a different skill set than maybe some of the other guys we had in LA. So then you start piecing it together with your personnel. Obviously we knew we had Drake, we knew we had Bijan, we knew we had Kyle, we knew we had a great
So it'll be different from the previous offense. It'll look different than the Rams because all these guys that run these offenses, separate from Bobby Slowick, he ran his wide zone no matter what. Now it's like we're building the personnel, the scheme around our personnel, not the personnel around our scheme. And so yes, it'll look different than LA because both teams, that was a weird motion, both teams build it around, it just depends on your players. And so ours will look different based off our players. So
great offensive line that can do a lot of different things. So, percentage wise from what we put in from LA to Atlanta last year was like, it'd be hard to put a percent on it. It was probably, north of 80 something percent. But then once that's in, that's when the real kind of, tweaking and evolving starts happening.
80% of their offense initially was just like the Rams, is what he said. And then you start to eventually tweak it.
Once you realize what your players can do well, because everybody's not obviously in a square peg and a round hole. So we were
square peg and a round hole. Kaylee said it too. And so I guarantee you this is the McVay tree. Like this is how McVay's biggest thing is adaptability. You build it around your players. You don't out with this old school ass shit offense where this is my offense. We run it no matter what, no matter who our players are, no matter who we play, we'll outman them. Like, no, that's not how you do this shit, dude. You do it like this. You adapt. You're dynamic.
We were trying to figure that out. There's a lot of discussions that we have to have as coaches. Is this really, I know we had this in LA, is this really fit what we have here, or is this something completely new? But I thought the run game, tying it together with Coach Ledford and obviously keeping the.
So I love that. Like you sit down and you say like, okay, when I was in LA, this worked, but now it can change here. And then this part here, the run game, I think is pretty cool too. So let's hear this.
Philosophy of the wide zone was a big deal here. Obviously, we don't want to lose sight of that just because of the guys have a ton of banked reps. Our offensive line is built for that. So that was something that, coming into it was different from where we were in LA in terms of running, true wide zone. And so there was a lot of tweaking, a lot of involvement, and then you get throughout the season, and again, there's more tweaking, more evolving, and then now you fast forward a year later, and things can look a lot different just based on you being around your personnel for a full calendar year now, and being around the coaches, understanding what we're all kind of how we all see this thing collectively. So it's offense as you get like ever evolving, and it is just. There's always a different way to look at something. You got to be open-minded. You got to look around the league. Hey, what are the Niners doing? What are some of these other good offenses or good guys that you have respect for? So now, full calendar year in, still have obviously the core identity of our Rams, stuff from a handful of years ago, but it's definitely going to keep evolving.
I have a couple nerdy X's and O's.
So that's cool. So basically it starts out pretty similar and slowly molds into your own to the Houston Texans offense, which is what DeMeco is saying what it'll be. So, and Brandon, points out a couple good things, and he says Falcons ended up being a top 6 offense by yards per game. So that's what I was saying too. Like, shout out John Crumpler. We were having a conversation. I said the Texans offense would be top 10 easily because I think that the personnel is fine. It's just the OC and his argument's the O-line, which I get, but I still think that the O-line is not as bad as we think and that the scheme will help. But, it's not crazy to say that a new OC will come in and make this a top 10 offense. We have better personnel than them. Like, yes, you could argue O-line marginally better or whatever, but like around everything else, like we got it. And we've seen it from the same tree. So like Zach Robinson literally just did it last year. And they had a QB carousel. They had Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix, a rookie, and had a top 6 offense in the league yards per game. So, but yeah, like now that we just watched that, I'm curious to see, as far as their offense, the last thing he said was when he got there, they had ran wide zone before, which the Texans did too. But he made it sound like that was their bread and butter and they did good with it. So he kind of like kept the carryover, and he said that wide zone was different than the Rams. And it also sounds like part of it is too, that's what his O-line personnel was better at. Whereas at the Rams, they were better at gap. So they had been running more gap. But then now he comes to the Falcons. You have all these guys that have been running wide zone. They have experience doing it, and they, I would assume, did it well for a couple of years. Unlike us, we did not do it well. And so rather than coming in and saying, hey, guys, no, I'm running my stuff, he worked with the players like, hey, y'all are good at this. You have experience, and it suits your skill strengths better, so we'll run more of that. And so maybe we could keep, a decent amount of wide zone stuff, but like if Kaylee is like he said in his presser and works around his personnel and their strengths, just like Zach Robinson, then my guess is we would have more gap personnel because all of our linemen are bigger, physical guys that aren't mobile, agile guys and didn't do well in zone blocking. We see it. They were terrible at run blocking. So you would assume, hey, you know what? Throw that shit out. We're going to run the gap stuff that we did with the Rams. But I'm just curious to see the amount of, the splits on gap. So we're going to go to Bijan last year. And let's see if it shows here. I need to go to rushing. Let's go to offense. How do we get the breakdown on rushing direction? Where is it at? Let's see. It should be. I'm trying to figure out like the run type. Okay, yeah, it's right here. And so, yeah, I mean, they kept the wide zone. Bijan had 231 carries in zone and 71 in gap. And so that fit their bill. And I'm trying to think, who was their running back the year before. I guarantee you that's what they ran before, and that's what their O-line was good at, so they kept it. But, last year we went more gap later in the year, and it worked, so you would think that's what we'll do. So anyways, yeah, that was a pretty long deal, long stream. Had fun, enjoyed it. Appreciate all you guys tuning in, as always. If you ever got anything, just hit me up. Any of my platforms, DMs are always open, always out there to help. That was an hour and 45 minutes. Wow. Just over 1 day of OTAs. That's insane. We're crazy people. But yeah, that's all I got. Appreciate you guys. And until next time, be blessed.